This happened on September 16, 2007, deep in the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. The Jacobs family had set up a Bushnell trail cam, and what it captured that night has been debated ever since. At first glance, the creature in the photos looks like some kind of animal moving on all fours, bent over, mid-stride. Most people would assume it's just a skinny black bear, but here's where things get strange. One of the other trail cam shots shows two actual bear cubs, and one of them is almost in the exact same spot where this mysterious figure appears. When you compare the cubs to the unknown creature, the difference is obvious. The shape, the proportions, even the posture, they're nothing alike. Researchers have also compared the figure to great apes, especially chimpanzees. And honestly, the similarities are hard to ignore. That long arm hanging on the left side, the shorter splayed legs, the proportions match chimps almost perfectly. Chimps often move in that half-upright, half-quadrupedal stance when they're picking something off the ground. The rounded upper back and almost invisible head, that's classic great ape posture too. So here's the question. What would a chimp or any great ape be doing in the middle of the Allegheny National Forest? The Pennsylvania Game Commission shrugged it off, saying it was probably a mangy bear. But bears don't have limbs that long, and they don't bend at the waist or move in that kind of human-like crouched position. The limb proportions here look way closer to something hominin than to any known North American animal. Even more interesting, there's a second photo taken just seconds later. In this one, the creature is bent even farther at the waist, almost folded in half. And that completely rules out a bear. Bears simply cannot bend like that, especially with all the mass they carry around their middle. Great apes can and do move in ways that look exactly like this. But the problem is, there are no native great apes in North America, at least not any that mainstream science recognizes. This next photo comes from the team behind Extreme Expeditions Northwest, LLC, a group known for their Sasquatch research trips. According to the timestamp, it was captured in Washington State on Christmas Day, 2009. The image supposedly came from a motion-triggered trail camera set up during their 2012 Sasquatch expedition. Now, I'll be honest, I was skeptical from the start. Not because of what the photo shows, but because of the circumstances. The campsite had reportedly been stocked with food and scent attractants, specifically to lure in a Sasquatch. Whenever someone claims they baited Bigfoot and actually succeeded, I don't automatically call it fake. I do believe some people have seen these creatures while actively searching for them. But claims like that make me examine everything much more carefully. The image itself was taken at night, as you can tell, with the trail camera switched to infrared mode. The figure in the frame appears to be crouched or kneeling, digging through items on or right beside the picnic table. The posture is strange. The body shape even stranger. The head sits low. And like many alleged Sasquatch photos, the figure has no visible neck. Even though we only see a hint of the arms, they look thick and powerful. And unlike a bear, this thing has a very humanoid back and shoulder structure, just much wider, much thicker, and far more massive than any normal person. To test the proportions, I took a comparison photo with myself standing in the exact position of the supposed creature. I matched my angle and the angle of the picnic table as closely as possible. And even though I'm a large, fairly muscular guy, I don't come anywhere near the size or bulk of the figure in this trail cam photo. The creature seems covered in short, pale fur, a kind of whitish coat, thick but not long. That alone is unusual and worth noting. During my first examination of the photo, something in the bottom left corner kept catching my eye. At first it looked like trash, bags or some kind of plastic sheeting hanging off the edge of the picnic table bench. I assumed that material continued down behind the creature. But the more I looked at it, the more I started to wonder, are those really trash bags? Or are they feet, as in the feet of something kneeling? Maybe I'm imagining it, but it's hard to completely ignore once you've seen it. One of the most compelling details to me is the deep vertical groove, running straight down the creature's back. It separates the two halves of the back muscles, a feature you see in gorillas, great apes, and even well-built humans, but you don't see it in bears. That groove houses the spinal erector muscles, and unless someone knows anatomy really well, it's not something you'd think to add if you were faking a creature or wearing a suit. And if the picnic table is giving us anything close to accurate scale, then this thing's torso is unbelievably wide, especially considering it's positioned slightly farther from the camera than the table itself. Now, as with every modern Bigfoot photo, this one is far from conclusive. In a world where Photoshop and AI can create anything you want, a single still image can't prove much. But even so, this is a very strange silhouette. It has oddly correct anatomy, strange posture, massive proportions, and details that would be surprisingly difficult to fake convincingly. Could it be a hoax? Absolutely. But if you were intentionally staging a Bigfoot hoax, wouldn't you want a much clearer and more dramatic shot? Instead, this image shows just enough accurate anatomy to feel believable, while keeping just enough hidden to spark debate. And honestly, given the sheer size, shape, and anatomical weirdness of whatever this was, I find it hard to dismiss it entirely. So there you have it, 3 alleged Bigfoot photos. And when you look at them together, and you consider all the strange details across each one, the mystery only grows deeper. This trail cam photo was taken on June 29, 2013, by the Duhan family, specifically a man named Jimmy Duhan, on their private land in Louisiana. On the surface, it looks like just another supposed Bigfoot picture. Nothing too shocking, nothing too dramatic. But the strange thing about this image is that the more you look at it, the more unsettling it becomes. And that's actually rare for Bigfoot photos. Most alleged Bigfoot shots try to show you exactly what you're supposed to see right away. Obvious in your face very often because the hoaxer wants it to be obvious. But this one is different. At first glance, it looks like nothing. But the longer you stare at it, the more the details begin to creep into focus, and the more convincing it starts to feel. The trail camera was set up on a large, rural, privately owned property, either by Jimmy Duhan himself or another family member. Like most trail cams, it was meant to track wildlife, probably for hunting. And as you can see, it was triggered during the daytime. What it captured was a strange, upright figure standing just to the left of a gray-green hunting blind. And coincidentally, or maybe ominously, you can see several crows or ravens feeding in the foreground. Something about that detail makes the English literature part of my brain start whispering that whatever's coming in this picture might not be good. When you zoom in on the figure, the obvious skeptical claim is that it's just a person, someone in dark clothing, or maybe some guy in a cheap Bigfoot suit. But the closer you look, the harder that explanation becomes to accept. Whatever this thing is, its proportions just don't match a human. It looks thick, heavy, oddly shaped. It's standing in this strange, bow-legged stance that isn't comfortable or common for people, and its arms appear unusually long, far longer than normal human limb ratios. The hunting blind next to it actually gives us a pretty good sense of scale. Not long after the photo went public, the team from Finding Bigfoot visited the site. They recreated the scene using one of their tallest guys, Bobo, who's nearly 7 feet tall. What they found was surprising. Even while standing bow-legged and, therefore, not at full height, the creature in the photo still appeared to be close to 7 feet tall. Sure, 7-foot-tall humans exist, but they usually aren't hanging out bow-legged next to a hunting blind. Deep in the middle of a private rural property, wearing a perfectly fitted gorilla suit made exactly to their size, something about this image just doesn't sit right. A hiker snapped this strange photo on a sunny day in the woods. It shows what looks like a large primate sitting on a log, staring down at its leg. He said he took the picture so people would actually believe him, but he never revealed where it was taken. And while the image looks convincing, we have to remember, it could still be fake. In a quiet corner of Georgia, a man set up a game camera in his yard after hearing strange noises at night. He'd even claimed to see something moving among the trees before. The motion-activated camera faced his mobile home, and on the right edge of the shot, it caught something unusual. No name, no clear explanation, just a fleeting glimpse of a creature lurking exactly where the man said it had been all along. What it was, no one knows. This photo has been floating around the internet for a while now, and no one really knows where it came from. It looks like it was taken by a trail camera somewhere deep in the woods. Some people say it's just a bear caught at a weird angle, but others are convinced it might actually be Bigfoot. The truth is, there's just not enough evidence to say for sure. For now, it remains one of those unsolved mysteries that keeps people guessing. This man had set up a trail camera deep in the woods, hoping to catch some wildlife on film. But when he finally checked the footage, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Some people online insisted it was just a black bear, pointing to the dark fur, the paw-like limbs, and the odd way it moved. But others were convinced it was something else entirely, something far stranger. They claimed it looked more like a dogman, crawling on all fours with unsettling speed and purpose. The clip quickly spread online, sparking days of heated debate. Yet no one could say for certain what the camera had really captured. All anyone knew was that whatever wandered through those woods that night wasn't easy to explain. In 2007, a trail camera set up in northwest Pennsylvania captured 3 strange images. The first photo showed a few bear cubs wandering through the area, but just minutes later, 2 more shots revealed something completely different. A crouched, ape-like figure sniffing the ground. Experts studied the photos, comparing the limb proportions and posture, and many agreed it looked more like a primate than a bear. Officials tried to dismiss it as just a mangy bear, but not everyone was convinced. The photos, later known as the Jacobs creature images, sparked one of the biggest debates in modern wildlife research, and to this day no one has been able to explain what that creature really was. A man was spending a quiet day on his property when he started hearing strange noises coming from the woods. Curious, he grabbed his camera and began recording. As he slowly panned across the trees, the lens caught something unusual, a dark shape lurking deep in the shadows. It wasn't the first time he'd felt uneasy out there. Strange sounds had echoed through those woods before. Some people believe that whatever was out there that day might have been Bigfoot. This man was hiking through the woods of Ohio when suddenly he heard something, a deep, echoing sound that didn't seem human, and definitely not like any animal he knew. It was distant at first, then closer, powerful enough to send chills down his spine.
What I'm recording right now sounds very similar to what I heard back in 1991 or 92. Does not sound like a dog at all.
Ohio has one of the highest numbers of Bigfoot reports in the country. Could these strange sounds be adding yet another layer to that mystery? Or does anyone actually recognize what could be making them? If you think you know, share your thoughts in the comments below. While hiking, this man took a short break to grab something to eat. As he reached into his backpack for his food, he accidentally captured this on camera.
Oh, well. Yeah, did you see the big tree break over there? It was a good snap.
In the top right corner of the frame, something or someone can be seen. It's dark, solid, and its posture doesn't match anything you'd expect to see out there. Even more unsettling, it seems to move slightly, suggesting it wasn't just a tree. Unfortunately, the man didn't notice it while filming, so he never turned the camera for a closer look. Whatever was out there remains a mystery. Chris Reinhardt and his team from the channel Real American Monsters went out to investigate Larry's woods. Not long into their search, they came across something strange.
This is a good sign that they're visiting here. This is the same print as we always find. So it looks a little bit bigger this time. Well, it actually starts here. It's a long skinny thing, so we're thinking female. Yeah, I just noticed that too. That could be knuckle marks. See it? Yep. Like this. Knuckle marks right there. Boom, 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 boom. 1 foot here. Knuckle marks there. That's cool. I never found knuckle marks before, but that's what those are. And up they go. Up and out.
As they moved deeper into the woods, they reached the gifting site, and there they found more footprints, fresh and clearly defined.
Yeah, she grew.
It said something.
12 and a half. 13.
There. Am I moving the bucket for me?
6 and a half. Zoom in on it. There's too much water. about 13, 12 and a half, 13. Well, that was a failure. Or 6 and a half. Big time. Wide. So we're looking at oh, that's a good one. I don't know if that, yeah, there's a stick here. That's why it bounced back up. See, look at. So they stepped down in here. Here's the big toe. That's the same one as at your place, 12 inch, 12 and a half, 13 inches, the same one. Now the stride from heel to heel is 39 inches. So if it was me, this is the step I would be taking. I'm 6'2", you showing that?
Yep.
That would be the stride I'd take from this print to this print. You're not walking through the muck making these strides. So, those are my tracks over there. So, that was a good find there.
Determined to capture whatever was out there, they set up trail cameras all around the site. But the woods stayed silent.
With the trail cameras over the years, I mean, we worked so hard to get that interaction, and now it's just gone.
Was it just an animal passing through, or could something far more mysterious be roaming those woods? This strange trail cam image reportedly came from somewhere in Vermont in 2011. The original photographer stayed anonymous, but the picture started gaining real traction after Steve Coles and others studied it on his blog and talk radio platform. The photo shows a hunched figure moving through the trees, its back covered in large pale patches that look like severe mange. The shape of the head and skull is oddly primate-like, and the outline of the shoulders and upper back looks disturbingly close to something human, but not quite. I'll be honest, my first reaction when I saw the image was the same as many people's. It looks like a guy in a bad ghillie suit. The texture is strange, the posture is odd, and the light patches almost look artificial. But then I saw the comparison photo. A man in full camo kneels in the exact same spot as the creature. Same tree, same background, everything perfectly lined up. And the size difference is shocking. The human looks completely normal-sized, but the creature in the original image is massive. The head is higher, the shoulders are broader, and the entire body takes up way more space vertically and horizontally. Some people argue the creature might simply be closer to the camera, but that doesn't hold up. If it were closer, it would also appear lower in the frame, not towering higher. If the human knelt where the creature supposedly stood to fake the size difference, he would practically disappear from the shot. That's the part that sticks with me. Because the creature itself almost looks too weird, too patchy, too unnatural, almost fake. But ironically, that's what makes it even more interesting. If someone was trying to Photoshop a Bigfoot into a nighttime trail cam photo, they would have made it more dramatic, more detailed, more polished. This one looks rough, imperfect, almost accidental. And sometimes it's those imperfect, ugly, awkward images that end up being the real ones. The proportions don't match a human. The bulk doesn't match a bear. And the posture, skull shape, and sheer size don't match anything known to live in Vermont. So the question becomes, what exactly did that trail cam capture in 2011? Because whatever it wasn't small, it wasn't human-sized, and it definitely wasn't normal.